SpaceX IPO has a lot of people looking at other space oriented stocks, and prices are up and down for many companies in that sector. Rocket Lab is the only other publicly traded Western launch platform, and recently it was announced they would be added to the NASDAQ 100 later this month. Is it worth investing in now? Let's talk about Rocket Lab. Rocket Lab was founded by Peter Beck in 2006 in New Zealand, and by 2009 it became the first private company in the Southern Hemisphere to reach space. It was not a successful launch and they lost the payload, but they did press on. They're a major spacecraft manufacturer and they build and operate satellites for commercial constellation operators and government customers. They've acquired a bunch of companies since going public in 2021, including an optical laser company in Europe and a robotics company earlier this year. In 2010, Rocket Lab was awarded a US government contract to create a way to launch CubeSats into orbit, which enabled them to contract for NASA resources, including personnel, facilities, and equipment for their commercial launch efforts. The company moved to California in 2013 and became an American company, which coincided with increased US government involvement and increased funding from American sources. They still have about 700 employees in New Zealand and about 1,900 in the US. Rocket Lab announced in 2022 that they plan to become the first private company to reach Venus. They're working to send a probe through Venus's atmosphere in an attempt to find organic compounds or signs of life. From what I can tell, they still plan on sending that up this summer. They make engines in a facility that they acquired from Virgin Orbit's bankruptcy proceedings. And in April 2024, they announced they would begin selling products made out of carbon composites. I looked into this and I'm not seeing anything cool for us regular consumers. It seems to be space parts for space companies and space people. They also have a deal with NASA to explore new ways to return samples from Mars. While Rocket Lab is considered by a lot of financial media personalities as the most space-oriented company you can invest in, just pure play space, no killer, no filler like Boeing or Raytheon, they do actually, unfortunately, have some contracts that are very morally dubious. In January of 2024, they announced they were the prime contractor for the U.S. Space Force's military satellite program. That $515 million agreement is their largest contract to date. They're also involved in this project with a company called BlackSky, which has been a point of contention in their native New Zealand. BlackSky is a satellite AI intelligence company, and together BlackSky and Rocket Labs are launching these satellites into orbit to supply high frequency, meaning not just like daily, but constantly updating satellite imagery and analysis to the Israeli Defense Ministry. New Zealand has this law called the Outer Space and High Altitude Activities Act of 2017, which makes sure that anybody that launches anything into space from their islands complies with their national interest and doesn't create any undue liabilities. Some are arguing that some of the launches under this partnership are obviously running afoul of these established laws. There are also rumors that this BlackSky program also provided the data and images for the raid on Venezuela last year. You know, the one where we kidnapped a foreign country's leader, that one. Back in March, Rocket Lab secured a $190 million contract with the Department of Defense/War to test out its hypersonic HASTE launch vehicles. Might have been doing test flights last Thursday, but they don't always announce military technology test flights. And it's just what we reckon from people seeing it on the pad. Last month, they also secured a $90 million Space Force contract for geostationary satellites at the low cost of $5 million per launch. Interest in SpaceX has leaked over into other space stocks, meaning new money is being poured into this sector. That's compounded with the news that Rocket Lab will be added to the NASDAQ 100 index on June 22nd, which means it will join the ranks of companies like NVIDIA, Apple, and Microsoft. Since becoming public in 2021, they've completed more than 80 successful launches and deployed over 250 satellites into space. They've had a 63.5% increase in revenue in Q1 over last year and ended up with a $2.2 billion backlog. The cost of shares have increased 60 to 70% over last year. From the offset, it seems like they're really doing well, so why might you want to actually avoid this stock? Well, the increase in interest may have overinflated the price at this point. Once the fanboys lose interest and move to a different industry like nuclear energy or something, there's a chance the prices could fall back to earth like a defective rocket full of spy cameras. There's also risks with supply chain bottlenecks because they have such a complex product that requires very specific materials like rare earth minerals. And they have an almost total reliance on government money. There is a chance that one or more of their projects literally blows up in their face. They are not profitable at all. There's a possibility they will never be profitable. They bought an engine manufacturing facility from a different shuttered space launch company. Just because you have some cool tech doesn't mean that you're completely safe from hardships. They do seemingly have enough capital right now to pay off all of their short-term debt if they so wanted to, which is somewhat reassuring. But over the last couple of months, a lot of insiders have been selling stock and not buying. So that's less than ideal. It makes you wonder how the actual employees working on these rockets feel about the company's direction. Let me know what you think about Rocket Lab and follow for more like this.